There's a weirdness to dealing with other foreigners in China because sometimes there's like the expectation of an unspoken understanding that we're all on the same side, when in fact we are not all on the same side. If I am your boss and I would like you to do this work and you would like to goof off and not do the work. Once upon a time in Shangri-La, I was the principal of a small school and I had to fire someone. If you want to hear the story of how I became the principal in the first place, like and subscribe. I say Shangri-La because this was a small town and these people are immediately identifiable if you know what I'm talking about. Although, this guy I fired, I don't think will recognize himself. That's part of why he had to be fired. So that's the story of Danny. I was principal of the school. We needed teachers, and this guy came to the owner, the American owner, and the owner came to me and was like, we had this guy before, he's not that good, but give him a trial, see what you think. He wasn't that good when we started, but we need teachers. A big part of the job of teaching is classroom management. I gave him a trial and he wasn't that good, but we needed teachers. And that turned out, you know, predictably bad. He was terrible. Well, I was gonna say nobody likes to fire anybody, but we all know the archetype of the guy who loves firing people. But I think we can all agree I'm not that guy. I'm as passive as they come. Parents complained. And to be honest, I don't actually remember, he was like kind of a lump of a guy, but that's really all I remember. More I remember what people said about him, including my mom telling me, you should fire this guy, he sounds terrible. And he was disrespectful to me. She coached me through how to do it because I'd never fired anyone before. I'd hired interns at the newspaper. Then I decided that was unethical. But that's, again, like and subscribe if you want that story. I could compare management styles between China and America, but my time in America was spent damning the man, so I don't actually know much about American management versus Chinese management. And to give you a taste, so largely China's not like this anymore, but this area, at least 5 years ago, was still kind of part of that banana pancake, people strolling up who've been teaching their way through Vietnam with no degree and, hey man, can I teach here for a little bit? So that was like still, that is no longer the vibe largely everywhere else in China, but it still was the vibe there. But managing a school full of English teachers in China seems to be a lot of like making sure they don't kill themselves by drinking themselves to death the night before their class. I mean, I've learned to choose jobs where I'm in no teaching management whatsoever, but in terms of being a director, I'm totally the boss, and I found out that I love that. But he was just so bad, and I was like, it's more work to fix what he's doing than it would be to just teach the classes he's teaching if I fired him. So yeah, she coached me on what to do, including like hide all the staplers. And part of the reason that I fired him instead of managing him better, because that's on me. I could have managed him better, but my mom pointed out, and again, I have no idea what I said to make her say this, but I believe her. She's usually on my side, but she's like, Emily, he's showing you real contempt. You can't fix that. And so, whatever he did, it was a step too far and he was out of there. That's why I'm not in management. A big part of her advice was how to manage the emotions of a person who's just been fired and who may do desperate things and surprise you with how desperate the things they do, which was eye-opening. 我们是美国人。对，你好。Oh yeah, come on in. 你要两个一起吗？ Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Fortunately, he didn't do anything. He kind of knew it was coming, I think. Then the little weasel went behind my back to the Chinese owners and said, well, you know, I can teach adults. Yeah, everybody can teach adults. That's the plum gig. I'm not gonna hire you to give you the students I want. I want you to teach the kindergartners. Especially here in China, under these circumstances, teaching English to Chinese kids. We all know English. That's why I'd hire someone. But fortunately, they backed me up and she said, no. Everybody wants to teach the adults. If people knew how to behave themselves, I could do it. Like, well, then you're not a teacher. You're a guy who speaks English, and you're kind of a jerk. I did successfully manage other teachers. The point is that you can get other people to know it too. So you have to like manage people's attention, have activities that engage them, figure out why they're acting out and get them to stop it. So it is like, it's totally useless to me if you're my teacher and you don't know how to do any of that. I love bossing people around to fulfill my artistic vision. I'm not so keen to do it when it's so I can make money for this wacko couples school. I do know about managers who are a mess though, because that's pretty universal. I've had to do a lot of managing up in my career. I mean, the big thing that they say is Americans are more direct and Chinese are less direct. Or that we all have the same feelings about the situation we're in, which is not true, and it's kind of annoying to encounter. Like, I can understand people from outside the situation, whether foreigners back home looking at us or Chinese looking at us thinking like, oh, you must all have similar goals, but we are not a monolith. And the foreigner stereotypes are funny of like, who's here to get a wife. My last Chinese textbook lesson actually has a significant passage about the best way. One of the characters expresses, it's not my textbook, but the best way to improve your Chinese is to get a Chinese spouse. Or the foreigners who are too good for other foreigners, that's me and Peter. Or the foreigners who meet and talk incessantly about the stuff they miss and you wonder why they came to live in a foreign country at all. Stereotypes are funny. I am sympathetic to those foreigners who do hang out with other foreigners because Peter and I came here together. And so like, I could see times that would have been very lonely were it not that he was here with me and vice versa for him. It is lonely, especially when you're still learning the language, still trying to meet new people, still trying to decode the culture. So that I don't begrudge anyone that companionship, and I packed that in my suitcase, so I just planned better than everyone else, really. But yeah, being the boss sucks. So then he proceeded, because the school had a cafe, again, another story, and he hung out at the cafe looking sad and desperate in the corner for like a couple good months until we left, and then last I heard, they hired him back. So for all I know, now that guy's the principal of that school. I wish him well, I guess. Noodles to you.